My name's Stewart Mosher. I'm a retired law enforcement officer. I have 38 years experience, 26 of those years in forensic services. I was a member of the Broward County Sheriff's Office Forensic Services Crime Scene Unit. I was introduced to the M-Vac in 2014 in circumstances where we had back-to-back murders of young females. Fearing that we may have a repetitious incident, we handled both of those investigations and then realized that they were separate and that they were not connected. However, they both were unique. The first case was a stabbing case where we had a comforter, a large area that we needed to obtain a sample from. The second case was much more complicated. It dealt with concrete block material, and if you envision the pitting on an English muffin, that basically was the surface area that we were going to have to deal with. It also was covered with the victim's blood. So in both of those cases, we were challenged with a large surface area that we felt was going to be very difficult for us to utilize a swab. We knew we were going to have to use more than one swab. We were concerned about would we have the concentration necessary on that swab to have a viable DNA. In the second case, we were concerned about the fact that we were doing just that. We were swabbing, we were using swatch cloth, we were using materials similar to that of threading, spending well over $100,000 in DNA testing, and we're still striking out. We're getting nowhere. One of the detectives that worked for me found Jared Bradley and M-Vac Systems in Utah. We reached out to Mr. Bradley. He flew into South Florida within a matter of 5 days. Our unit was trained in the use of the M-Vac, and that afternoon after the training, Mr. Bradley remained as the subject matter expert as our detectives then collected samples from the comforter and from the concrete block. Within 3 days of the sampling of the concrete block, the subject of interest's full DNA profile was developed. Within 24 hours of that development, the comparison was made. That individual was taken into custody and he was placed in the Broward County Jail. In the first incident involving the comforter, what occurred in that case is we actually, unbeknown to us at the time, had collected the DNA sample with a swab. The M-Vac wasn't necessary in that particular case, and you'll find that the M-Vac is not always necessary, nor a frontline unit all the time. However, what we needed to do was sample that comforter to see whose DNA profile was there. And the DNA profile was there of both the decedent and her boyfriend, just like the boyfriend said it would be, thus giving us an additional investigative lead which took him out of the realm of suspicion. Then the swab makes a connection through CODIS, giving us the suspect about 3 weeks later. The M-Vac is a very, very reliable instrument and certainly should be in any forensic investigator's arsenal. If you don't have one, you certainly need access to one. I could not have done my job in the last 2.5 years the way I did without access to and possession of an M-Vac system.